All right, welcome back to Music Talk from the North State. Our podcast is about the music profession. Whether you're coming from a region, you want to stay in that region, you're building a business from your area, or you're looking to connect with what is going on in a larger business. I'm here again with my student Logan from our music industry program over here at CSU Chico, and we're coming to you from the Madison Bear Garden, the Bear.
Thank you again for having me. Just for background info, the class that you teach here at Chico, where you go over the marketing and the branding of specific artists, and you help class groups manage their artists within Chico here. And well, I was Googling stuff, and I came across again the IFPI Global Music Report. But within the data and just the articles within it, about the past year, there's a big piece on it saying that how the record industry in general is moving towards a more local - global perspective, where there's funneling funds into and resources into the grassroots, local sort of artists. And that kind of clicked in my brain how it can connect to the class that you teach here and how we can apply that knowledge that, okay, they're keeping their eyes on the local scene and they're recognizing the benefits and the opportunities within that local scene, such as Chico here. How do we make that connection as prominent as possible?
Right. I get you. The funny thing about what you just mentioned, and coming from the IFPI report, nothing's changed there. Nothing's changed at all. It's always been about a regional following and something that feels like it's grassroots. They starts to grow beyond that, and where their trends seems to be burgeoning, and the record business goes like, hey, what's going on over here? What's going on over here? These are hot spots in a lot of ways. And that the record business has always thought, and managers, that mainstream folks have always thought, I can bring that to a bigger audience. If you can already see that there's this wildfire. A lot of times, we say this as a music industry mantra kind of thing. This is the wildfire, and if I can pour gasoline on it, I can bring it into something that's bigger than that. That's what our business has always done, is to see that people are following something on a local level, and that they think, well, if that's true, does that translate to a larger audience? And sometimes it only fits within their market, and that's okay. For the folks that are going to want to do something in their local clubs and their local scene and their local community and those kinds of things, and they don't want to move. And that's the place they want to live, which I see a lot in our Northern California area. People like where they really are. It's not wrong to say that you can be in the business of where you are, but our business does look at that. And so it's interesting that the Global Music Report was picking that up. It's something that is a trend, even though that's been, frankly, I think, tried and true. When we can connect with people on a local level, we prove something. But we're in a database business when we get to a digital music industry, where you could see those trends that pop out from Spotify to SoundCloud to Instagram and TikTok and those kinds of things. And people see that on a global and digital level.
Those little wildfires, and then.
But they don't know it's that, because they see the digital version of it. Right. And so you can do this entirely digitally, but it doesn't necessarily mean you connect with people on a personal level. You might connect with them digitally. And then there's connecting on a personal level, which may not be digitally. And somewhere in between is the sweet spot where a lot of our business wants to connect.
Got it. So it's approaching that relationship and that connection that's, as you mentioned, just interpersonal, while also having the digital, data catalog building up.
The data proves it for a lot of our business that it's not there, that they can't feel that region. They don't know the people there. They don't know the experiences, the years that it took for that band or that artist to connect with their people and be in that place where they feel like they have a local and regional kind of a following. The data proves it. But more important than the data, the data is the next level of how you mainstream out of your region. But within your region, and just thinking from where you stand, especially if we're doing a podcast from the North State, and we're talking about regional kinds of things, connecting to the people that are in front of you. That means the audience that's right in front of you. That means that the community that will follow you and keep showing up, they might follow you on Instagram and those kinds of things, and Facebook and other places where they can comment or they can cause digital engagement. But what really matters is that they actually care about you as a person, that they're connecting with you as an individual and what you stand for.
Right. So does that, apply directly to, as you mentioned in class a lot, the branding of the different artists in our management class, as well as the tribe aspect of growing that community forward? Right.
Well, they're 2 points that are related, but they feel like, to me, 2 separate things that are in 2 different parts of the development timeline.
Branding and tribes?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because branding, it's a buzzword that a lot of people know in marketing, or even if you're outside of marketing, you kind of think, oh, I'm supposed to be branding myself, or there's brands that pay attention to me. So it seems like it's an overused word. Let me go to tribes, because I think most everybody can connect with that on a more personal level. A tribe. A tribe is of folks that follow some ideal, belief, or a community, or they stick together over some cause, right?
Yeah.
And a tribe leader usually is someone that has the charisma and the message that we want to follow, that they can stand for us. So in music, I think this matters. And I'm not the one that came up with this idea, to be clear about this. Seth Godin had a book in 2008, 2009, Tribes, We Need You to Lead Us. And he's a digital marketing person. But he brought this idea up. Tribes are communities that want to follow an ideal, or an idea, or they see their connection. And they're not defined by demographics or the other things that marketing and branding often will segment us into. And if you can find a tribe leader, people will follow them. Through charisma, they share your message, they stand for what you believe in, and you feel like you can coalesce around them. In the music industry, for someone that's going to be a connecting point, the tribe leader, in a lot of ways, can be an artist. They have that charisma, they have that message, they have that emotional appeal. Especially with music, we have an emotional appeal. And so whether you're in the North State, you're in this area, you're in any area, that you can be that kind of a person when you connect with other people. A tribe leader, in a lot of ways, is taking maybe a musical element of why they might care, but they're taking a community element forward. And what that community is, they could define that themselves. Someone could stand for something or create the tribe around what they believe in and what their sound is and what they represent and what we go through as an emotional experience or what we escape our world to be part of. Mm-hmm. And so on a regional level, whether you're a DJ, you're a band, you're a thought leader in any way. If you haven't thought of yourself as a thought leader, I think you're missing something as a musician.
Thought leader, can you... elaborate
well,
a little
I
bit
think
on
the
that?
words are fairly self-explanatory about a thought leader as opposed to a music leader. Sometimes people think I made the perfect music that I care about. And so they put it out and they wonder if someone's going to follow it. As opposed to, there's something about that genre or that feeling or that sense of connection between me and several other people as a musician that connects. And the music becomes the emotional appeal about that I stand for something. Or that I exist within a generation, space, and time, and that I'm willing to take a stand, even if it's unpopular, especially if it's unpopular. If it's a niche audience and those kinds of things, then you say, I plant my flag here, that I think this, I believe this, I stand for this, and there's a community around that, and my music supports that. When that happens, you become the potential of what Seth Godin was talking about as being a tribe leader. There's another book that Kevin Kelly, 2017, was one of the folks that came up with the idea of 1,000 true fans. The two connect in a lot of ways. A tribe leader and 1,000 true fans feel a lot like what we've been hearing as our mantras of the digital generation. So if you could have these folks that really truly believe in what you do, and that you're a tribe leader, that the two can connect in a way that could create a regional following, that could be that kind of thing that makes local go to mainstream.
So those 1,000 fans will make up the tribe as you are growing?
They're the avid ones that will carry your message. The idea of the 1,000 true fans is they're the ones that will actually cause engagement. They will share, they'll retweet, they'll be the ones that connect and tag and so forth, and take actions and show up to a lot of your things. And that they become almost your, if I'm going to get cold, they're marketing minions, but they believe in what you're doing. And then a lot of ways it connects with the tribe leader and the concept of tribes, is people that believe in what you're doing. Right. And a lot of times I think that musicians make a mistake about this when they're coming up. They think that it's all about their music and that there's this faceless person on SoundCloud or on Instagram that's going to go find them. And I think that's a big mistake. Instead, only 5 to 10% of your posts and the things you stand for and what you speak to your community about should actually be about your own music, which has less to do with whether or not you perfected something, you don't talk to people, and then you put music out. If you do that, then you're just barely putting a product out there and saying, hey, pay attention to me. A lot of people don't care about that. The relationship comes first.
Well, what do you say to those, whether it's in Chico or any other region similar to this, when they're like, okay, where do I start?
What do you stand for?
Okay.
What do you believe? It might start from music that you started here, but what do you actually believe? Do you have a political view? Are you with some kind of a product or a belief in a cause? Is something going on in your region? Do you have a belief about how times are changing? Something that has to do with society and social beliefs and those kinds of things? Stand there. And if it's unpopular, stand taller. You know, in a lot of ways, that's also something that comes from Seth Godin when he was talking about a lot of his marketing concepts, is that when you're trying to build a brand, and you used that word earlier, when you're trying to build yourself as a niche, you stand for something that no one else stands for, at least in your region or what you believe in, and you take your own message and your own voice and you carry those kinds of things.
Right from where your brand.
Right, and if it turns off 90% of the people, so be it, because the 10% that will follow you avidly matter.
Are those 1,000 true fans.
Or the tribe, you know, kind of thing.
Right. So you're saying have that identity, those values, and then build those interpersonal connections with the, you know, the region around you and that community, and then from that community, that little wildfire is when the record labels will start to, you know, have their ears perked up and, you know, start looking at you and helping you grow that to the next level.
That's all true. Those are the kind of principal elements of what will make it so that you can mainstream. But what is a brand? When we talk about brand, that was a marketing word when I came up. And a marketing word, for the most part, when we're talking about marketing, was the big business way of looking at things. A brand is a fictitious identity in the people's mind of something that stands for something that is unique, or is a market leader or a differentiation of a market that already exists. In a lot of ways, a brand is almost like what we think about entrepreneurship and those kinds of things. Someone scratches the itch that hasn't been scratched yet. They come up with something that hasn't either existed or fills a need that hasn't been there, or they do it better than anyone else. And usually the brand identity comes from the first person, but it can also be the person that defined it and realized it.
Well, okay, let's just say that one within this region, any other region, has that brand solidified, and they're beginning to put music out and take that stand. Well, how do they encapsulate that even more? So how do they grow from there? How do they engage and build those relationships even further?
There's a duality between authenticity and knowing that you're a business that is a tough thing for most people to figure out, especially while they're growing in this whole process. Because authenticity is what the audience needs to perceive and believe, and I don't think you can fake that to some extent. But at the same time, if you don't know that you have a brand, or you don't have your own brand awareness of what you stand for, you can diffuse your own brand and not develop one. Brands go all the way to that multi-billion-dollar level of marketing and advertising and those kinds of things from the biggest business, but a brand still is a fictitious idea of something that defines a cause, a purpose, a niche, a need. And so a tribe, in a lot of ways, is a smaller version of that without thinking about business and marketing. And that's what their connection points are. I think that the tribe and a brand can be co-aligned, but I don't think most people look at a tribe and say, this is my brand, because it almost feels like, as soon as you enter the word brand, it feels like business in a lot of ways. But a tribe and a tribe leader feels like a cause and something you really believe in. And they are the same thing. But that's a business perspective to realize that the tribe and the tribe leader is something that you can monetize and market and have people follow, and that it can grow.
So that's when it starts to kind of teeter over into that
Frankly,
realm.
If you said to a tribe right now, you guys are following my brand, they would all dissipate immediately. You know, they are connected. But I think most people don't need to see that it's a brand, and it's for the music industry representatives and for the keen person that has it in their mind to recognize that what they've created in a 21st century way is a brand of something that is a niche, that is the pinnacle of what hasn't been done before or hasn't been done that way. But the tribe concept is a lot more authentic and personal and creates relationships that we need in a digital space to keep that relationship going and recognize you stand for something. And when you stand for something and your music connects with that, people will follow the music. Let's stop thinking about it as magic and just recognize that it's about people. It's about connections with people. And I think that's one of the best things I can give people that comes from a region, is to recognize you want your music to be the brand, or you want people to follow the music as if it's a tribe. But frankly, they don't look for the music first. Sorry. Most of the time they don't. They look for the human beings. We make connections, and then music makes our experiences. And when you think that the music is going to create the brand or the tribe, I think you're missing something. Sure, you can find an example of it, but I don't think it's a prescription for success for most people. Instead, recognize your relationship between a musician and their audience, creating an experience between human beings where music is complementing that experience, and then they appreciate your music. That music becomes timeless, because that moment that we have together is in a moment. But the music can become the stamp that becomes timeless. And instead of trying to make the stamp the point, make the connection and then have the music feed it, and the music will become their nostalgic reconnection with that point or person or tribe that becomes a brand.
Okay, perfect. So you're saying have that identity, those set of values, build those personal connections within,
Right.
wherever you are, your region,
Right.
and then you can start to grow and grow. And from that growth, as we mentioned before, the Global Music Report, that's when you'll start to get, ears
Yeah.
perking up. Okay.
From every indie label to every local scene to people that are on the underground of everything else, things start on a local level. We connect with people. And when that is solidified and repeatable, then our rest of our business goes, hey, what if I could take that farther? And whether it's to mainstream those things or not, that still is the same kind of a way of looking at it, or the mantra, or the possibilities, or the prescription for success, is to say that when we connect with other human beings, that matters, and that keeps us in our profession of music. I also want to say, though, for a lot of folks, they don't necessarily want a mainstream, or they don't want to move to that major market. And those are still the same principal elements of how you build a business that you keep as your business within your own region or your own place and time. So if you only want to live in that one space and time that you're in, because that's your family, that's your community, that's your roots, that's your vision of
That's
your
your
future.
tribe.
In a lot of ways, right? Because the tribe community can be local. That's still the same building blocks and elements of what it takes to be successful and professional and stay within your business. Is to continue to connect with those that matter, or see that you matter, and what you've provided for them matters for them. Thank you for checking out Music Talk from the North State. Let me tell you about a couple of things that you can follow. 1,000 True Fans, the Tribes We Need You to Lead Us, IFPI Music Global Report, IFPI. That gives us really cool reports with nice PDFs that you can really read and you can check out, and they've got multiple years of it to see the trends that are happening in our business. We'll give the link on our description and those kinds of things so you can follow that. All right, and we'll see you next time.